Hello, ISDS2000 Business Statistics online students. We are beginning week number 4 of the semester, and so it's a good time to touch base. We have some due dates this week and the ever-approaching exam number 1, and so very important that we kind of touch base and talk this particular week. Lots of stuff coming due and going on, right? Well, just to kind of remind you, Connect Chapters 3 and 4 are due this week, Thursday, September 20th by 11:55. Now remember, we have a minimum score requirement, 85 or above to earn points. That does not mean that you earn full points once you pass 85. It means that what you if you score below 85%, then you get a 0. If you score 87%, you get 87%. If you score 92%, you get 92%, right? And then, of course, I manually transcribe the grades into PAWS. Now, let me tell you why, in particular, this is important for this online section. I was looking at your grades, or your performance in Connect as we begin this week, and first of all I start as, this is a little graph I have available. Here's Chapter 1 homework. What this tells me is that out of 12 students who are registered, 10 have attempted the assignment. Their best attempt, the average of those best attempts, about 98%. Pretty good. Feel good about that. Move over here to Chapter 2. Looks like the same 10 are participating, 90%. That, as an average, is above our 85% requirement, so probably everybody is doing well there. Then I move over into Chapter 3, Part 1, and I see that only 2 students have even attempted it. That worries me by this point in the process. It's due Thursday, and I'm going to tell you why doing this homework and doing it repeatedly, practicing it, is important. Here I go to Chapter 3, Part 2. 1 student has attempted the work. That 1 student is doing well, but only 1 student. Chapter 4, Part 1, again, 1 student. You can guess the last here. Chapter 4, Part 2, 1 student. Okay, you do have a little bit of time. The assignments are due Thursday night, but let me just say this. When you train for a marathon, let's say you're going to run in the Boston Marathon, you don't train by running 24 hours the day before the race. Sounds silly to even suggest it, right? You have to train a little bit every day. Otherwise, you will become fatigued and frustrated and tired, and I don't want you to go through that. 30 minutes to an hour a day spent on Connect is much better than 10 hours the day that it's due. Okay? Plus, as you complete these homework problems, you are directly preparing for the test. And we're going to talk about the test, okay? But I want to kind of poke you with a sharp stick here, right? Just give you a little nudge in the right direction to say, get going. Do not delay on this homework. Alrighty? Now, let's talk a little bit about the exam. This morning, I posted instructions into PAWS in the content area, and so you'll be able to go through and read those. First, as an online student, you should be happy with the fact that there's no campus visit required. You are taking this exam online. Again, for details, look in the content area of PAWS, scroll down until you see the exam number 1 category. The test will cover chapters 1, 2, 3, and 4. The test is 50 points. Of course, you know that from the syllabus. It's 10 questions. Each question is 5 points. May sound like a lot of questions, but by having a lot of questions, of course, the penalty for missing a question is not quite as bad. The questions are randomly selected from the Connect homework. So if you've been doing the homework, then you're going to be very familiar with these questions as they surface. Now, there are due dates. There's what I call a window of availability. The test is going, I'm going to actually jump down here. The test is going to become available to you Friday, September 21st, as early as 5 o'clock in the morning. It closes Sunday, September 23rd at 11:55 p.m. sharp. In other words, if you are still working at 11:55 p.m. on Sunday, September 23rd, it will knock you out. So let's talk more about the due dates as well as the time limits. Okay, so this is what I call the window of availability. It's when the test is available to you. It's a timed test. Once you begin, you're going to have 100 minutes. This is in the instructions that you're going to find in pause in the content area. Let's not forget to go read the detailed instructions. Okay? It's timed. Once the test begins, you cannot stop the clock. I have had students tell me, but I stopped because I knew I had an appointment, so I did a save and exit, and when I came back, the time had expired. Well, of course it did. If you came into a classroom to take a test, you can't say, look, I'm going to come back after I go do some other things I want to do and finish it later. Right? Okay, the reason I'm coming at you kind of hard is because I really don't want you to make any mistakes, and so I want you to hear me when I'm telling you that there are due dates that apply and that this is a timed test and you cannot stop the clock. Now, with this test, it's different than the homework in that you only have one attempt. Now, students will oftentimes email me and tell me about situations that caused their computer to crash. And maybe the thing about not requiring you to come to campus is that it puts a responsibility on you. And that responsibility is that no matter what happens, you have one attempt. If your computer gets struck by lightning, that was your one attempt. Now, I hope that doesn't happen, and I hope you catch my note of sarcasm there. But what I'm saying is that if I'm not there to witness what the problem was, I cannot make allowances for one student to have multiple attempts while I deny another student to do that. Now, I'll give you a couple maybe tips that could help you if you're concerned that this might happen to you. If you especially have a questionable internet connection, maybe your computer, periodically it will just download those updates and restart itself. Ooh, you would hate for that to happen during your test. So what you could do is come to campus, right? Drive to campus, take the bus to campus, walk to campus, ride your bicycle to campus, go to the library. Now this requires that you check the library schedule, make sure it's open. Go into any one of the open computer labs. I wouldn't start the test seconds before somebody else is getting ready to hold class in that classroom, okay, but you can use one of the open computer labs. If our college network goes down, if the power to the campus goes down, you have witnesses because the college will email me, okay? Okay, so it has to be something that really was experienced at a college-wide level, a campus level, or a building-wide level, right? In that case, I can work with you to reset the test and to give you another attempt, but I really don't even want you to focus on that. What I want you to hear is that you have one attempt. When you sit down to take that test, you should have already gone to the bathroom. You should already have your soft drink, your coffee, your bottle of water. You should have your notes well organized next to you. You should have your book at the ready and ready to use it, right? Don't begin the test and say, oh, I've suddenly thought that I need to bake a cake and go bake a cake, right? You're not going to do that. Be real serious, and once you start, go in there and take that test in a single sitting. You'll notice that the Check My Work button is disabled because the homework is for practicing. The exam is an assessment of what have you learned, so you'll know it by that point, right? Once you complete it, you won't see your results right away. I delay the results by 1 week. As I explain in the instructions that are in the pause content area, scroll down to the category that says Exam 1, I deliberately delay those results until the following, it's either Friday or Saturday, to help the students who have completed the test so they don't feel pressure to respond to others. It just kind of levels the playing field a little bit, okay? Now, there are many more instructions inside of the pause content area. So let's switch over to that now. I'm in pause, I'm in our class section, and I've clicked the content button. What you want to do is to scroll down. Now look at this. This was your course orientation with all this useful information, including the help number to connect. lots of videos on how to use the system. There's our Chapter 1 information, Chapter 2, look at all this Chapter 3, Chapter 4, and here we are down at the category for exam number 1. So you're going to click this link, and I want you to be patient because it takes time for a PDF file to load. So, give it a second there to load. Okay, I paused the video, but I was patient and I allowed this to load. Now, you'll see that this is really, really tiny in here because it's trying to display it in this little bitty window. So I want to make a couple suggestions to you. The first is that you use this floppy disk button. See this? See where I'm pointing with my mouse? If you click that button, you can save this document to your desktop so that you have it available to you. You can print it, but I would do both. I would save this and I would print it. Okay, now I'm going to read it on the screen here so that we can look at it together, and what I like to do is to come to the center area and enlarge it. Okay, see, here we are. Here are the instructions. You're expected to complete your exams independently. That almost goes without saying, but you need to understand me when I tell you that there are ways that I can detect that, and group work is frowned upon. Okay, let me be really clear. Now, I also want to tell you this. Folks, you have all the problems on the test right now. I gave them to you in the homework. If you've been doing the homework, you do not need to even think about cheating, because this is just a test of, did you get the concepts? And you're going to need this as you continue in your academic career. Okay, now here we go onto the window of availability, and the thing that I want to point out here is that everyone's clock is slightly different. There's no need to email me and to tell me that the computer cut you off on your watch it said 11:50, but the computer said that the test had expired. What that means is that your watch is wrong. Okay, so you don't need to call it that close. I mentioned to you that you have 100 minutes to complete this test. 100 minutes, a typical class sitting is about 90 minutes, so 100 minutes, is just a little bit more than a regular class period. And so you probably won't even need all that time. I'm just giving you a little extra, right? Okay, but if you start your 100 minutes, think about an hour and a half, a little more than an hour and a half, at 11 o'clock, then you don't have 100 minutes. You have 55 minutes because you started at 11 and the system is going to knock you out at 11:55. Okay, so need to be really clear on that. Again, if I sound harsh, I know I do, but it's because I kind of have to get your attention because I don't want you to make any mistakes. If you make a mistake, let it be a statistical mistake, not that you're just not paying attention to the rules for taking the test. Okay. We talked about the one attempt. Let me just say that again. You have one attempt. Victim of lightning strike, earthquake, one attempt. Now, what happens if you do have one of these tragedies happen? Well, then that's your drop grade. Okay, now I would certainly hope that you do not use your drop grade for test number 1. These earlier chapters are typically the easier chapters. So, hopefully you can use that drop grade for a more difficult test on a later chapter when your score perhaps wasn't as high as you would like it to be. We'll talk more about that, but I want you to keep that in mind. You can go through and read this. Cannot stop the clock, 100 minutes, and most importantly, the password for the exam. Now, every student uses the same password. Once you click the test, it'll ask you for the password. You'll type it in, and the exam will start. Okay, so this is just to make sure, since you only have the one attempt, that you don't have a false start. Again, the exam results are delayed 5 days, and you'll see my explanation of why that's necessary. All right, so I hope I didn't sound too harsh. I just wanted to let you know about exam 1 and to take it seriously, but if you've been doing that homework and you need to get on that, then you are prepared. Now, after you take the exam, don't close the books. You can go on to learning project number 2. There are important videos there. that will help you prepare for the next chapters. Now, as we continue, let me just tell you this. As you look at the instructions for Learning Project 2, so you'll take your test this week, and first of all, you're going to finish your Connect homework for chapters 3 and 4. You're going to take the test this weekend, and that's only 90 minutes, and then you're going to turn your focus to Learning Project number 2. Now, as you look at that, let me give you a couple hints. Learning Project number 2 is an easy assignment, but where students typically lose points is you look at it and you say, this is an easy assignment, and you just kind of do what you feel like doing rather than what's in the instructions. Read and follow those instructions and read the instructions carefully. Use those instructions as a checklist to make sure you don't miss anything. All right? Again, students typically lose points for skipping instructions in this particular assignment. Okay, the videos are of instructors or people solving statistical problems. So by watching these videos, you're going to be directly preparing for our studies of Chapter 5 and 6. You can read your book and watch the videos and kind of see how things are connecting. So remember, this is an important time because chapters 1 through 4 we really focused on descriptive statistics, the graphing and the describing of our data in frequency tables, for example, or frequency distributions. Well, now we're going to start to turn our focus towards inferential statistics. We're going to start out with a look at probability. So watch the videos. They'll help you feel a little bit more comfortable. It all kind of works together as you get into this. Now you have time. That learning project is not due until Thursday, September 27th, but the reason I'm introducing this test is because there really is no time to delay. Again, you don't train for the marathon by running 24 hours. Oh, goodness, excuse me. Because there really is no time to delay. You don't train for the marathon by running 24 hours the day before. It is much more productive to run, let's say, an hour a day. Now, maybe you run an hour a day for several months, but you get my point, which is it's a little time every day, not a mass cramming session. And I'm saying that to you so that you can avoid some of the frustration that comes when you're mentally very fatigued from trying to attack these problems, okay? So, I want you to hit connect. I want you to get serious about it. For those of you who are out there doing it, give yourself a pat on the back because you're doing the right thing. We're coming up to this test deadline, so hunker down and really focus, and then you're going to do good because that homework is directly preparing you for this upcoming test. Thank you a lot. We'll be talking soon, and get cracking. Thanks. Bye.